welcome to my tutoring channel. My name is Samantha. I am not an expert at math, but I'm pretty good at it. I know that math is not everyone's favorite cup of tea, but it so happens to be mine. But today we're gonna do a mini lesson on percentages. I feel like that's the easiest thing to start with, only because we work with it all the time. When you go to the mall and there's a 30% off, oh bet, damn, how do I figure that out? Or you are opening up a savings account or a credit card and there is an APY that comes along with that credit card or that savings account, and you're like, how much money will I make in 10 years? Of course, there are calculators online that you can easily generate and figure out how much you're going to make. However, come on now, guys, we are moving with the times. We gotta be quick with our math, okay? I'm not that quick, right? I am quick to pull out my calculator, but I know what to plug in. So let's not rely so much heavily on using online platforms to help us figuring out an APY or helping us figuring out how much our discount is going to be. And let's see if we can figure it out on our own. So let's start with something simple. Let's say we are going to buy this shirt, right? So the shirt, let's say it cost $80, right? We all love a good discount, right? Then we get that Fashion Nova text like, hey boo, make sure that you go online and you get this shirt. It's going to be 30% off. I bet, right? First of all, Fashion Nova should never have an $80 shirt, but let's just put this in perspective, right? So there's a 30% off. So our discount, let me move my head. Discount is going to be 30% off. Okay, so we have our starting value, which is $80. We're gonna do 80. We're gonna now multiply it by 30%. However, have you ever heard of multiplying a whole number by a percent? No, right? So percentages and decimals, they go hand in hand. So a way that we can figure out what the decimal form of this 30% is going to be is to just move this through 2 units back. What is that going to give us? 0.30, okay? So now this is where the quick math comes in. Yes, it's a 0, this is our problem. However, I'm gonna ignore this really quick, and I'm just going to focus on this 8 and this 3, okay? So we are going to take 80% of 30, so we're gonna do 8 times 3. Really quick in our head. I remember when I was in middle school, well, even before middle school, like elementary, we were learning times table. You know, that was back in the day when we had that composition notebook and everything was on the back. However, my teacher, who was the best math teacher, he decided to make up songs for us to remember our multiplication. And I'm like, I bet, because I love music, I love singing. So I'm like, why not make a song out of it? So the 8 times table, and I'm not going to sing it because it's just embedded in my head. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it sound right, but it's like 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 50, and it's just in my head. So if there's a way that you can find a trick to remember your times table, do that, right? So we have 8 times 3, 8, 16, 24. We get 24. Now, notice how I didn't include any zeros, right? So the reason for that is because we have a decimal point here. So it's like we're doing 0.3 times 80. So these zeros technically cancel each other out, all right? So now you're like, oh shoot, that is a fire deal, right? $24? Bet, right now, need that, sneeze that right now. But this is where we're wrong, right? Because this is the original amount, right? Original. This is a discount, and this is going to be the discounted price. Now, that is different from the final price. So if something is discounted, right, that means we're taking away, reducing that amount. So we want to take that 80, and we want to minus the 24. Let's bring ourselves back to First grade, second grade, when we were learning to add and subtract integers, right? That becomes 10. This reduces down to 7. This is going to give me 6, and this is going to give me 5. So my total amount is going to be $56. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you next time. Tutoring with Sam White.